Hi, welcome to Frag Hero, and the force is strong with this one because we've been feeling in a very Star Warsy mood of late, what with the new Obi-Wan show and everything coming out of Star Wars Celebration, so we've been kicking back with some Star Wars Battlefront 2, and you're a big fan of this, right, David?
I am a big fan of this. Actually, I'm a big fan of both of DICE's Battlefront games, so the 2015 one and also the new one, so yeah, with everything new coming out, been very excited to dive back in and enjoy all the amazing graphics and blaster explosions and all the good Battlefront stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Battlefront 2 got a lot of flack when it first came out, but you can't deny that it is just like, if it's a Star Wars experience you want, then that is like the best game that offers it right now, apart from Jedi Fallen Order. But if it's multiplayer you want, Battlefront 2 is the one to go. And we've been talking, David, that we think that it's about time that DICE brought back Battlefront 2 with some brand new Star Wars content. So, here are 5 reasons why we think that should happen. The first thing, if you haven't played the game in a while, it's been completely fixed. It's not the controversial game that it was when it first launched. What are your thoughts jumping back in after all this time, David?
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny because I think a lot of people will say, well, why do we need to even have more content for Battlefront 2? You know, it was a disaster when it launched. You know, I think it was so controversial at the time that most people put it off. And you might remember just how controversial it was. All goes back to that progression system where loot boxes were kind of the main aim of the game.
You can find them in crates.
They were dropped randomly, or you could buy them with real-world money. And I think it was someone called the Hotter Potato who found out that it would take 40 hours to unlock a hero or a villain.
That's mad.
Yeah.
That's mad. For a Star Wars, imagine picking up a brand new Star Wars game and you can't play Darth Vader until you've played 50 hours of the thing.
Exactly, no point. So EA tried to pour water on the fire, and I think the quote was something like, it was to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment. That became something of a meme.
Yeah.
And the comment was actually so downvoted, it's ended up in the Guinness World Records as the most downvoted comment in Reddit's like entire history. I don't know if it's been surpassed, but I assume not, because it was pretty bad.
It's not something you want to try and achieve, is it?
No, exactly. I mean, I guess it is an achievement of some description. I don't know if there was much pride in it for them. But yeah, basically killed loot boxes and gaming. I mean, I guess you do see them from time to time, but I kind of think that Battlefront 2's launch was the final straw. But as a result of that, they really did go in and fix the game. You know, they completely took all of that stuff out of it. I mean, the devs described it essentially as performing open heart surgery on the game, because the game was still going, but they went in and kind of took all that stuff out. So progression was made linear, so unlocks were basically as you would have expected from the game. You know, all that pay to win stuff was completely taken out, the loot box stuff was taken out, and the microtransactions were just for unlocking cosmetic items. So your soldiers, your rebel soldiers could look kind of cool, or maybe there was a cool outfit for Princess Leia or something like that. You know, you could spend money on that, but all the bad stuff about progression being, you know, a gamble about how well you would do was all completely taken out. And as a result, the game was actually made quite good. So yeah, I know that's kind of a basic point for, you know, if you're a fan of Battlefront 2 and you're watching this video, but I know for a lot of people, they don't know that.
It's been 5 years, but I mean, it's a testament to the game, to be honest, that even 5 years on, it still holds up well. It's, you know, it's an arcade style shooter that can be played in both first and third person, and there's not many games even now that let you do that. I think PUBG is one of them, and even the game modes that are still in there now, you know, we've got Galactic Assault, you got Heroes vs Villains, you got Supremacy, that was inspired by like the classic mode, and on top of that, I mean, have you seen the graphics in this game? Like, if you load up this game...
have I seen the graphics?
If you load up this game in 2022, I actually think that this looks better, controversially, than Battlefield 2042.
No, I don't think that's controversial. I think I would agree with you, honestly.
I think it's down to how stylized it is. Like, if you load up 2042, a lot of the maps are super open, they're not very dense in terms of cover, and they're just sort of, they're quite big and blocky, whereas, and even though it's in the same engine, Frostbite, which, you know, can look amazing at the best of times, Star Wars Battlefront 2 has these locations and models to pull from the expansive Star Wars universe. So when the devs have something to focus on, this game looks stunning, man. It's the photogrammetry tech that they've used genuinely makes me think that this is like probably the most photorealistic game. I think it's probably going to hold up for several more years.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think they were given access to the Lucasfilm archives, and certainly this was true for the very first game, because, you know, they visited a lot of the original movie locations as well, and, you know, you can see it feels so authentic. The characters as well, particularly from the sequel trilogy to like Rey or Finn, you know, you can tell they've used real scans of the actors because it looks crazy good.
It's ridiculous. Speaking of characters, that brings me on to my next point, which is DICE seems to abandon this game pretty early, and since, like, you know, we said that this game came out 5 years ago, it's been a long 5 years for Star Wars, if you think about it. You know, since then, we've had 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, well, 2.5 if you count Boba Fett.
And let's not go there.
I'm not starting that rabbit hole. You know, we've got an Obi-Wan, we've got the Ahsoka show coming up, Clone Wars finished. I swear there's been new seasons for Rebels as well. But yeah, there's so much backstory to Star Wars that hasn't been included in Star Wars Battlefront games that is just ripe for the picking. I mean, have you seen the amount of modders that are building their own heroes with custom models, animations, and attacks just to like mod it into the game?
So good. I think some of the modders maybe have ported stuff from Battlefront 1. I'm not totally sure about that actually, but I mean, there was so much stuff in Battlefront 1 that was never actually brought across to Battlefront 2. Some of it was. I remember there was like a Scarif DLC from Rogue One, Jabba's Palace. I remember that was some of the DLC was in Battlefront 1 as well. But there was a lot of stuff there that was brought across, which shows that it's very possible that if you wanted to, if DICE wanted to, they could bring about so much new content for Battlefront 2, literally just by taking from their own game. So there was all the unique like Hoth maps, Tatooine maps that were never used. I remember there was a DLC level for Jakku, which was like the Battle of Jakku, if you remember from the very start of Force Awakens, when you see the giant destroyed Star Destroyer and all that kind of stuff that Rey was poking around in. You know, you actually could live out that battle, and that was a level in Battlefront 1 never used. And Sullust as well, which I think was a planet that was referenced in the original Star Wars trilogy, but kind of never ever fleshed out before until Battlefront 1 came along. And to be honest, it's probably my favourite maps from that game. Just this very kind of volcanic, scary looking planet where the Empire is building all its ships and bits and pieces like that. It's so good.
I think you make a great point there about some of the best content being DICE's own interpretation of stuff that's referenced in the past, because Star Wars tends to have this problem, I feel, and I'm sure a lot of other fans feel, that it likes to tread on its own tones a bit. It likes to retread the same characters, retread the same planets.
Yeah.
Whereas if DICE were given the opportunity to once again sort of carve their own little section of Star Wars out, that could be really, really interesting. Instead of revisiting all these, you know, it's cool to revisit Geonosis and all of these cool Star Wars planets that we've seen before. It would be really, really cool if DICE actually sort of had their own opportunity to make something brand new. And to be honest, they haven't really got much competition in terms of Star Wars games, at least. You know, we know Ubisoft is working on an open world RPG. Respawn has Jedi Survivor. Star Wars Eclipse is a narrative title. There's the Knights of the Old Republic reboot coming. But there's nothing in the way of a casual multiplayer shooter. I wouldn't even say that even like Battlefield's not a competitor right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Call of Duty might be. But if it's a Star Wars shooter experience you're after, there just isn't anyone else making this right now.
No, I totally agree. And to be honest, have they got anything else on their plate to do right now? I would argue perhaps maybe not.
Well, topical. If you haven't heard, there's rumours that the team that is currently working on Battlefield 2042, which you might have seen headlines of for it being a bit rubbish, there is rumours that the team that's working there right now is just a skeleton crew, just ticking it over to meet the demands of DLC that people have already paid for with the season passes, and there's actually not very many people working on it right now. EA has denied this. It says that it's untrue and that there's a dedicated effort from all of its teams across the EA studios, but that doesn't get around the fact that Battlefield 2042 is not popular right now. If you look at the player counts, they are dwindling across PC and all of the consoles as well. So is it worth DICE just abandoning, or not abandoning, but at least moving a considerable amount of its effort over onto a brand new project, one that people are actually going to play and enjoy? Because let's be honest, do we really think DICE are actually going to make a Battlefront 3 at this point? It seems like a bit of a cursed project.
No, definitely. I mean, as much as it would be cool, it's already happened once before where LucasArts were going to make a Battlefront 3 after the very famous Battlefront 2 from 2005 that this new Battlefront 2 was based on. And the big selling point there was you'd have these like seamless ground to space battles where you could jump in a spaceship on the ground and fly into the air, have a fight, come back down to the planet and, get out or do it all again. And apparently it was like 99% complete and would have basically just needed bug fixing, but it didn't actually end up coming to be, which is very, very sad. But it's not impossible. Maybe it could happen. Just because that one didn't happen doesn't mean this couldn't. But I kind of feel like at this point it would be difficult to sell a new Battlefront game after the first two were so divisive. And Battlefront 1 was criticised for being too arcadey, didn't have enough maps, not enough heroes. The season pass was splitting up the community, and Battlefront 2 was kind of supposed to fix that, but it also had its own disastrous launch that was way worse than anything that Battlefront 1 ever experienced. So I don't know, I kind of think the reputation of the brand could be saved if EA truly committed to Battlefront 2, and maybe then one day you could actually bring out a Battlefront 3. It's not impossible, right?
So what do you think? Should DICE commit to making more content for Battlefront 2, or is the whole franchise a lost cause? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for more Star Wars videos like this. Until next time, you've been watching Frag Hero, and may the Force be with you.